last night, I tutored my little girl. Talked to her mom. Her mom is single too. She's a divorcee too, but she has kids. And she's like a year or two older than me, but you know, she knows about me. We've been friends for years. And we were talking last night. After me and the little girl got through, you know, I was talking to her, just me and her, you know, adult talking. After I kind of instructed her on what I wanted the little girl to focus on, we got to talking about our lives. And I kept saying something about my goal. She already knows my goal is to marry someone rich. And she's a career woman, you know, and she has 2 degrees, a house that's at least $300,000. She's single. 2 luxury vehicles, you know, nice life. And a few years ago, around the time that I was married, she got engaged, but she broke off her engagement. Then she started dating this other dude. Things didn't work out with them. He broke it off. Now she's dating another dude. And when she had told me about the dude, you know, he wasn't college educated. He was a blue collar worker. I think she makes more than him. She already knows I don't date black dudes anymore. And that kind of, because I was trying to get her to be open to dating interracially, but you know, that's not her cup of tea apparently. So in us talking last night, she said, so what's, you know, basically what's on the schedule this year? Are you doing the nose job this year? Or you know, we were talking about that. And I said, no, I got to save up for that. I said, the main thing for me right now is to lose the weight. I said that, and plus that's free. Like the nose job is, I'm gonna have to save up for that. And so she was like, you know, she was like, so then what? You know, you lose the weight. And so we got to talking, and to make a long story short, when we were talking, and I kept talking about marrying someone rich, she said, and then do what? And I said, well, someone that can retire me. She was like, and then what? Then what you gonna do? I was like, enjoy being at home. But I said, it ain't like I'm saving the world with what I do now. I said, I don't need a degree to do the type of work I do now for what I make now. I can be, you know, not saving the world in my pajamas at home. Like I can be at home not saving the world and just being a wife. And she was like, basically, you know, would you get fulfillment out of that? And I'm like, I don't get fulfillment out of what I do now. Like what I do now I'm not doing brain surgery. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, and so we're different in that way. You know, she has her own, I think, not-for-profit. She has her own tax company. She also works for a bank. You know, she has like a few things going on, not to mention raising kids. You know, she has 2 adult children that are in college, and then the little girl that I tutor. And she basically is one of those, she was basically saying, you know, she's talking about herself, I want to make my own money. I don't want to depend on a man for nothing. And from what I can tell, she's never had a man that she could depend on. Like the dude she date now is not on her level. The dude she was engaged to, he made more money than her, but he wasn't generous with it. He wasn't like paying none of her bills, you know. So I was a little frustrated in talking to her because it's like no matter what I said, she was kind of critical of it. She said, you know, basically, what God do you serve? You know, and I'm like, we're both Christians. We, you know, that's how we met each other. You know, it's through our relationship with Christ. And so I'm just like, you know, what are you talking about? You know, she was basically saying you don't have any faith in God for you to make your own money, for you to do greater for yourself financially. And I said, that's not true, but I'm a realist too. You know, I said, and you know, I tried to explain to her, I've been offered jobs similar to what I've had before, and I can't get them. You know, my mistakes stay with me for life. And she was like, they don't stay with you for life. You can do this, and that, and da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, no, that not in my situation. I can't. Just until the day I die, everything I've done stays with me. And so, you know, she kept going on and on about how she just, you know, I believe you can do greater. You just don't have faith, blah, blah, blah. And it's frustrating, y'all. And when she was saying this, Alice, I said, oh, you are so cute. I said, I remember when I used to be this innocent. And then I said, I remember when I used to be so innocent. And I miss those days. You know, like, it must be nice to not know. You know, and I used to be that way. I just didn't know, you know, until you go through something you don't know. And so she just kind of kept going on and on about how important it is for a woman to depend on herself, you know. And I said, that's what I'm doing now. I'm taking care of myself now and depending on myself now. But if I have a man that can do it for me, like for what I make, I can't see any man that makes a lot of money. I said a guy can make $200,000 a year if he can afford. If his finances are in such a way that he can afford to retire me, then that's what I'm gonna do. You know, the wake up and grind and all that. That's not appealing to me. You know what I mean? And so she kind of, you know, didn't approve. And she said, so what are you going to do if that doesn't happen? She said, you're how old? And I was like, I'm 43. She said, okay, well, you're not getting any younger. You know, we're not getting any younger. She and I are in the same age group. She said, what are you going to do if that doesn't happen? I said, I'm going to keep doing what I do now. I said, I'm going to look good, though. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to look good. But I'll just be single and, you know, save money to, you know, basically renovate my house so that basically by the time I retire, I got my house the way I want it, and I'll just be still doing me, you know. But I was trying to explain to her, I'm independent now. No one's paying my bills now but me, you know what I mean? And so she kept kind of bringing it back to God and was saying, you know, well, so money is your God. Money is more important to you than anything else. And I said, no. She was like, yes, it is. She said, money's more important to you than God is. And I said, no, but I said, marrying a man of means is, yeah, it's pretty far up there. It's pretty important to me. And so she disagreed with that. You know, she believes in character. She don't care if a guy makes less than she does or isn't as educated as she does and all this kind of stuff. And that's just not my situation. So in us talking, y'all, she knows about my life, my story, she knows all that stuff, but I had to kind of break it down to her. Finally, it seemed like I couldn't get through it to her. And finally I said, you know, her daughter that I tutor is 10 years old. And I said, listen, since the age of 4, my life was turned upside down. I said, so since the age of 4, my life has been hard. Basically, I feel like I deserve to relax. Like, it, you know, and she was like, oh, okay. And it's like, I felt like when I left and I was thinking about it, I felt, and this ain't new to her. I told her this before, you know what I mean? But basically when I said that, she was like, oh, okay, well then I understand why you know, basically want to kind of retire from the whatever, the drudgery or whatever you call it. And I thought to myself, driving, I had to go get Maggie some food. So driving to the store and then driving home, I was thinking, why did it have to come to that? Why did I have to absolutely pull out the worst of the worst card for someone to say, oh, well then, you know, your goals are okay. I'm using that as an example to y'all, especially women that are, most of the women that are watching my channel are leveling up or have leveled up or hypergamous or divested. Do not let people who have not walked in your shoes dictate your path or make you feel bad about your path and your goals. So when we were talking, not only could she not relate to what I've been through, you know, in my adult life, but then when I told her about my background or my childhood, and her daughter that I tutor is 10, her daughter came downstairs for something, and I said by the time I was her age, I was already, I was already, you know, and she was like, oh, okay. And I thought to myself driving home, like, it shouldn't have had to come to that. As a woman, I should have been able to tell you, and as a friend, I should be able to tell you, you know, I want to marry a man that can retire me. If that's a man that makes $200,000 a year, if his finances are in such an order that he can afford to retire me, that's what I want, without you looking at me and judging me and saying, you know, oh, well, money's more important to you than anything else, or money's more important to you than God, or, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, she was asking me what was the difference. She said, what was the difference between, I was trying to explain to her how snobby I used to be and how up in the nose my air used to be and how life humbled me. And she said, you know, humbled you how? I told her the story about remember the funeral home thing I told y'all about? I told her that story. I said, the difference is, I definitely immediately thought of that, well, you know, at least I ain't killed nobody or whatever. But then I also thought, at least that's not my story. So when things happen now, I used to think I was better than people. I was telling her about the drug addict lady and the Bible study, and how I kind of scooped my chair away from her and kind of was thinking, I'm not coming to this church again. How that used to be me. And now when I run into people like that, or I would see homeless people or whatever, I think to myself, thank God that's not my story. You know, I told y'all I watched this channel called Soft White Underbelly, and there's a list on there called Sex Workers or something like that. And I listen to what these people have been through in their childhood, and I think to myself, well, at least that's not my story. You know what I mean? So while there are certain things about my character that have not changed regardless of all that I've been through, just certain ideals I believe, I definitely am more grateful to God about things that I have not been through, and thankful to him for experiences I have had for people with similar backgrounds as me. And I thought to myself, Kat, she hasn't been through what you've been through as an adult. She hasn't been through what you've been through as a child. She and I were talking last night, and she was telling me her dad was terminally ill, and her ex-fiance has this text chat between her mom, her dad, her brother, and I was kind of, but when she was telling me about her dad, I said, oh, I never heard you talk about your dad before. I almost said, I didn't know you knew your dad, because I'm coming from my own frame of reference with that. But when I left, and her mom used to live with her mom, with her. Her mom has since bought her own house, but just the life that she's had, we just don't have the same lives. And y'all, I used to compare myself to people, especially when I was younger, and be jealous of people that grew up with both of their parents, or even grew up knowing both of their parents, or grew up with parents that paid for them to go to college, or them to be in drill team, or whatever their desires were, that had a supportive network. And I used to be jealous of those people. And now as an adult, I know those kind of people, and I just have to tell myself, Kay, you can't let anybody like that make you feel bad about what you want for yourself. Maybe, she hasn't been, she went to a HBCU. I said, maybe she hasn't been exposed to the same things you have, And so I just want to put a public service announcement brought to you by the good folks at Rockefeller Records. Y'all know I love Jay-Z, but that's from the Black Album. But don't let other people and their judgments about you and what you want deter you. I could have left that meeting last night thinking, oh, you know what, I should go apply for some jobs making more than what I make now, and maybe I'll get one, and then I don't have to marry a man that can take care of me, or a man that can let me relax. And I was talking to her about my ex, or not my ex, but the guy that I've been dating for the last year and a half, telling her how I found out he was older and his wife was a lot younger, and blah blah blah, and how he had retired her and all this kind of stuff. And that's how we got into the conversation. She was like, so what did she do? I was like, he didn't want to have kids. He made that clear to her before they ever got married. He may say clear to anybody he's dating that he don't want children. I said, this girl's in her, early 20s. You're telling her she can't have kids, she can't go back to work. And it wasn't that he told her she couldn't go back to work, but she didn't want to work. And I think after not working for so long and not being able to have kids, it's like, well, if she's not going to work, you need to at least let her have a kid so she can have something to do, at that age. And that's how we got into that conversation. But I felt kind of frustrated because I definitely have friends that are Barbara the Builders, and all it takes is love, that kind of thing. And it's funny, she has that kind of point of view, because when she was engaged to a guy who made more than her, but felt like when they got married, he wasn't going to have to pay the mortgage and stuff because she already got it. Like basically you already paying these bills anyway, so you don't need my money to pay them, So it's like you're hypergamous, but or it's like you have those leanings, which I think most women do. Most women grow up thinking in some sense a man is obligated or should take care of them. It's like, don't tell me you don't care about money when you could be married right now, but the dude you were with wasn't coming off the ends. He would come over drive in on the weekends and eat up your food and your electricity and your water, and wasn't trying to pay none of your bills, and you had a problem with that. You know what I mean? And that's how we got into talking about that. Is she was saying now he's trying to be the man that I wanted him to be when we were engaged. And she done moved on, and this guy is educated. you know, and make six figures and whatnot, but it doesn't matter what a man makes if he's not generous, you know. If he's not breaking you off, nothing, what do it matter how much money he makes? So don't let people guilt trip you into feeling bad about what your standards are for yourself. I've told you guys, and you guys that have been rocking with me for years know, I've had, you know, people tell me I'm delusional. People on the channel, you know, not necessarily people in real life. I felt like that's what she was kind of getting at last night when she was saying you're getting older. You know, I felt like she was saying, you know, you're delusional. And while, yes, it's definitely harder to date when you're older. When a man can have a younger woman, you know, depending on the type of man that you're interested in, he might choose that, you know. It just depends on the kind of man. Because remember I told you guys the older guy that I dated when I was a young woman, he wanted me to be older, you know. My subscriber that I call Jay from the UK, you know, she's in her 20s and her guy wishes she was older. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said for a woman, you know, and that's what I was trying to tell her, not my friend, whose child I tutored. That's what I was trying to tell her, is that there are men who, hold on, I'm trying to find the name of this guy this channel I found yesterday that I want to tell you guys about. I'll go in and put in his name and when I edit this video. But I found the channel. This guy has a PhD. He's just really smart. You guys can Google his name and see just all his different backgrounds. But I watched a video of his yesterday, and it really hit home for me about men and the kind of man that I want. I've been watching a lot of manosphere stuff lately, trying to understand men better, especially since I broke things off with Homeboy. And I thought to myself, those aren't the kind of men I want to marry, though. These channels that I'm watching, these men who want to only be with young women but don't want to get married, you know, because they've been married and got divorced and lost some of their wealth in the divorce. Those aren't the kind of men that I want to marry. You know what I mean? They can call those kind of men simps and everything if they want to. These men call themselves alpha men, but I've told y'all before, no man that I know that's an alpha ever calls himself an alpha man. Not a, you know. And so these manosphere guys have their definition of what they consider alpha, and they think, you know, screwing young women and never getting married is being alpha, you know. And some of these men, to me, hate women, and they have girl children, you know what I mean? So, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't let what other people are willing to settle for guide your path. So my homegirl, you know, she's okay with being a breadwinner in a relationship. That's good for her and for her circumstances. You know what I mean? For what she's been through in her life, that's what she's okay with. That's not what I'm okay with. And when she asked me, she basically to me last night said, you're getting older. What if you don't get anybody? And I told her basically, that's fine. I'm still going to be, I'd rather basically not get anybody than to not get what I want. You know what I mean? So every woman isn't like that, though. I told you guys before, and I've even, I think, made a video saying this. Loneliness is a cheap price to pay for happiness. So I would rather, you know, work a mediocre or a job I'm overqualified for, or that I'm underemployed for the rest of my life until I retire, and be alone and know that I'm at the standard of living I'm at because of me, than to be married hypogamously, whether it's with a black man or a white man. And I haven't, since I've never dated a white man that made less than me. Even since I've been home, I've dated, you know, a couple of blue collar workers, and none of them made less than me. But they also, you know, wasn't what I wanted. So, I was trying to explain to her, I'm okay with growing old alone if I can't get what I want. You know what I mean? And every woman isn't like that. Some women are going to say, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to grow old alone. I don't want to be in my 60s and 70s alone. It's okay with me to be with this warehouse worker who makes less than me if it means I don't have to be alone. And I think that's how we as women end up in a lot of these relationships where we're not happy, because we're okay with being with a man who isn't what we really want. And I think that's why we end up divorcing those same men later, because he wasn't what you wanted. You settled for him you know, because you didn't wait around for what you wanted. I've been listening to Jordan Peterson lately. I've been listening to, I said I was going to look up this guy's name when she was trying to take my money. That's what I was. And I said I was going to insert it in here, but I listened to it, and I might link his video below. I typically, oh, there he was right there. I typically don't list other, you know, content creator stuff in here, but I liked his message so much that I was like, that's, you know, that's deep. His name is Professor or Dr. Sam Vaknin, V-A-K-N-I-N. And like I said, I'll put the name in here, and I'll probably put the video down here. But just to listen to the things he said, I thought, Kat, those are the kind of men that you need to be with. Not the manosphere and, oh, I want to screw every young thing walking. Those are two totally different type of men, you know. So, you know, don't let other people write your journey for you, especially people who aren't living the life that you want to live. Like my friend, yeah, I think it's great that she has a big house and a great career and 2 luxury vehicles, but I also don't want to live the life she lives. I don't want to have 3 kids and a divorcee and one of the kids out of wedlock and you know, struggle dating all these dudes that ain't trying to take care of me, and you know, and I got to sit there and hem and haw with you about money and stuff, even though you make more than I do and got less debt than I, you know, that's not what I'm trying to be about, you know. And don't get me wrong. There's certain things about, you know, different friends' lives I love, you know what I mean, that they do make a lot of money or whatever. But one of the things I noticed with a lot of these alpha females that I know, they're proud of the money they make, and I think they lead with that in relationships or in identity. But to me, in relationships, it doesn't. With the right man, I don't think he's gonna care that you're gonna make that, you know, whatever you make, or that you got this high powered job, because he's not gonna benefit from it. He's gonna want to be the breadwinner in the relationship. He's gonna want to be the powerful one in the relationship, not, you know, a man who's looking to his wife to pay the mortgage kind of guy. You know, yeah, I think men want I think the right men want intelligent women because they want to procreate with intelligent women who can help the kids with their homework, and or if he needs you to go do something, he knows you know how to take care of business. But I think the right man is not going to care, you know, that you are a CEO or whatever, as far as love goes. And I think as Black women, we lead with our accomplishments a lot, because that's how she kept saying this. Well, what would you do? What would you do? You know, if you didn't have to work, what would you do? And I'd be, you know, and I see so many women and friends I know who don't work, whose husbands can't afford to retire them or afford it for them to never have to work, you know, once they made it. And those women, they, you know, I'm like, girl, I could travel and lunch with friends and be at the mall and take care of my husband and cook and clean, and that's what I can do. Like, it seems like as Black women, we don't know anything but the struggle. And if someone else isn't, you know, with the struggle or interested in the same struggle as us, you know, we want to say, well, they're not, you know, they're not whatever. And I just disagree with that. So anyway, I'm at the office. Let me get in here. I will holler at y'all later. Y'all be easy. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Bye.